Good day to you, ladies and gentlemen. This is the Hypersonic 55, and I'm glad that you decided to join me again for another Bad Taste review. You know, with all these streaming services like Amazon and Netflix, you happen to scan through a multitude of films, and then you happen to come across a film or two or three that happen to have that kind of trailer, or a poster, or just a name title that it demands your attention, it grabs you, and then you're just like, well, now I have to see what this is. And that is the case with Fire Twister. Just listen to that title, Fire Twister. How can you not be intrigued? When I was on Amazon and I saw this, I saw the poster, the name of the film, and I read the premise of the film. I was like, yo, I have to see what this is about. This sounds so foolish. But I assume that this is going to be a lot of fun, and it had Casper Van Dien in it as well. One of my favorite guys from, Starship Troopers, but also from one of my other favorite terrible films, Maiden Voyage, Ocean Hijack. I knew this film would be fun, and it did not it didn't disappoint at all. Fire Twister is a terrible film, but my goodness, is a heck of a lot of fun, and I'm going to tell you why in this review. So this film is basically about a man-made fire tornado born out of an explosion, which causes a lot of death and destruction, and so it comes down to a group of unlikely heroes led by an ex-firefighter to combat this threat. There is mystery, intrigue, betrayal, a lot of humour, and a little bit of drama, and it is so bad that it has to be seen to be believed. And so let me just tell you up front, this film does not make a lot of sense. There are a lot of rules that are just thrown out the window when it comes to physics and logic of the characters. The way in which the story pans out features some of the most foolish, illogical, downright absurd material I've ever seen in a film so far. The film tries to be serious and dramatic and have some sort of backstory, conspiracy, and certain character deaths that are supposed to carry weight. But the film is just so dumb and meaningless, and because of the poor script and bad acting, it never becomes anything more than something you could just laugh at or sigh at. And it also doesn't help that the characters are basic archetypes of people that you've seen before in this kind of genre, especially disaster films. You have the generic hero, the coward, the smart guy, the evil henchman, and the bad guy operating from the background, among others. There's also these really weird, crazy religious people included, an over-the-top TV reporter, and these terrible extras who just have the worst reaction time to some of this, disaster that's going on. And speaking of disaster, let's talk about the main star of this film, the flaming inferno itself, the Fire Twister. This thing is just a marvel to watch in all of its ridiculous, supernatural kind of powers. The first thing people will be questioning is, how do people in this film not see this flaming inferno? It's a friggin' fire twister, and it seems to be burning everything, and yet people seem to miss this thing on several occasions. Several of the characters in this film seem to not know where this thing is, or seem to lose track of it until it is where it needs to be because of plot, or it just happens to be right in front of their face, and I'm like, how can you people be so blind? How does no one not feel the heat before it gets to them? It's absurd. And the next thing you'll start to question is what damage this fire twister can do. On occasions, it's able to destroy whole areas of land, make houses explode, and suck people into this twister of doom, and yet other times it can barely cook people. It can suck cars up, but they don't explode, and somehow this twister happens to have a mind of its own, where it will chase specific people, and there's no clear indication as to why. And then there's also points where this twister can teleport from one point to the next. I mean, sometimes it will be right behind a set of people, and then next scene it'll be somewhere else. It makes no sense, and yet it's still so much fun to watch. This fire twister, it gets bigger, it just causes so much chaos, and it's fun to watch. It'll make you scratch your head as to how these things are happening, but it's still a lot of fun. And one other thing that needs to be mentioned is the special effects and the character deaths. As per usual in these kind of films, the visual effects are pretty cheap looking, they don't mesh well with the live action footage, and there is a good number of continuity errors in between some of these sequences, not only in the way in which it's filmed, but just where the visual effects are supposed to be in context with certain scenes. It doesn't match up. But one of my favorite parts of this film are the kills. They are all so terribly done in such a funny way. Straight from the first death, I was in hysterics, and this film just finds ways to kill people in, like, you know, generic yet creative ways. And the first and last deaths of the characters involved are just perfect. Bloody perfect. So yeah, in conclusion, Fire Twister, do yourself a favor, watch this film, possibly drunk if you're in the mood for it. I guarantee you'll have a good time. If you can get into some of these cheesy kind of films and you don't mind the sort of, you know, ridiculous, stupid nature of them, you'll have a good time with this one. Fire Twister, I think, might be one of my favorite recent bad, like, you know, straight to DVD films that I've actually seen. It's absurdly fun. And I'm surprised I had so much fun with it. It is terrible, and there are a lot of moans and groans and confusion for me watching this. But yeah, Fire Twister is still a good time. I recommend it.